be seated. Last year, during the Lessons and Carols, I read an old, beautiful homily from St. John Chrysostom. And it's actually a great tradition in the Anglican Church and kind of even the medieval church in general to read sermons of other people. Because the church promoted it as wisdom that no individual can have. We've kind of lost this practice. In fact, there's a large book written early on in the 1600s, an Anglican book called The Book of Homilies. And they're like 40-minute to an hour-and-a-half sermons that used to be required to be read, I think, every year in certain churches. But today, I want to introduce you just as a brief meditation from Hippolytus of Rome. We don't really know that much about him. He was in the late 2nd century, so 150 to 180, almost 2,000 years ago now. He was perhaps a bishop of Rome, perhaps not. That's about what we know of him. There's a few different theories, but nobody's quite sure. Yet, even though we don't know much about who he wrote some significant works, including one called On the Refutation of Heresies. And this is a little meditation found in that book about the meaning and significance of the Incarnation. So Hippolytus says, "Our faith is not founded upon empty words, nor are we carried away by mere caprice or beguiled by specious arguments. On the contrary, we put our faith in words spoken by the power of God, spoken by the Word himself at God's command. God wished to win us back from disobedience, not by using force to reduce us to slavery, but by addressing our free will and call to liberty." The Word spoke first of all through the prophets. But because the message was couched in such obscure language that it could only be dimly apprehended, in the last days the Father sent the Word in person, commanding him to show himself openly so that the world could see him and be saved. We know that by taking a body from the Virgin, he refashioned our fallen nature. We know that his humanity was of the same clay as our own. If this were not so, he would hardly have been a creature who could expect to be imitated. If he were of a different substance than me, he would have surely not ordered me to do as he did. But by my very nature I am so weak. Such a command could not be reconciled with his goodness and justice. No. He wanted us to consider him as no different from ourselves. And so he worked. He was hungry and thirsty. He slept. Without protest, he endured his passion. He submitted to death and revealed his resurrection. In all these ways, he offered up his own humanity as the first fruits of our race to keep us from losing heart when suffering comes our way, and to make us look forward to receiving the same reward as he did, since we all know that we possess the same humanity. When we have come to know the true God, both our bodies and our souls will be immortal and incorruptible. We shall enter the kingdom of heaven because while we lived on earth, we acknowledged heaven's King. Friends of God and co-heirs of Christ, we shall be subject to no more evil desires or inclinations, or to any affliction of body or soul, for we shall become divine. It was because of our human condition that God allowed us to endure these things. But when we have been unified and made immortal, God has promised us a share in his own attributes. The saying, "Know yourself," means therefore that we should recognize and acknowledge in ourselves the God who made us in his own image. For if we do this, we in turn will be recognized and acknowledged by our Maker. So let us not be at enmity with ourselves, but change our way of life without delay. For Christ, who is God, exalted above all creation, has taken away our sin and has refashioned our fallen nature. In the beginning, God made us in His image, and so gave proof of His love for us. If we obey His holy commands and learn to imitate His goodness, we shall be like Him, and He will honor us. God is not beggarly, and for the sake of His own glory, He has given us a share in His divinity. In the name of the Father, and the Son,